Death. Death is something everyone fears. But there is a man who fights death every moment. Why? Why was this man buried alive? Hello and welcome to Muji Explainer. A terrible incident occurs in the land of wild tribes. Why does this man have to cut open a horse's belly, pull out its entrails and hide inside it? This film was nominated for 12 Academy Awards and won 3 Oscars. And movie lovers know well what level of film it can be when Leonardo DiCaprio is in it. One such thrilling, tension-filled survival film is Muji Explainer presents The Revenant. The film begins with a man named Hugh Glass. We are shown a glimpse of the storm that came into the lives of his wife and son, who is named Hawk. Glass looks like an outsider, but his wife is a member of a native tribe called the Pawnee. Glass is shown living much like the natives. Then the scene shifts. It is the year 1833. In a fast-flowing river through the forest, Glass, his son Hawk, who has grown quite a bit, and another man cautiously move forward with guns in hand. A short distance on, they spot a deer and Glass takes aim and fires. This region is called Dakota. At that time, many animals and birds lived in Dakota, and people from different parts of the world came here to hunt. But as dangerous as the wild animals were, the dense forest itself was equally perilous. So for outsiders, surviving here was almost impossible. For this reason, some of the natives who lived in this forest would, for money, help the outside hunters. Glass and Hawk have been brought to help Fitzgerald, the leader of the hunting party under Captain Henry. This is because Glass knows every corner of the forest well, and for that reason they keep him with them. As Glass and Hawk prepare to take the deer back to their camp, a man from their group comes running in without clothes and collapses to the ground. At the same time, one arrow after another starts flying toward them. This sudden attack pierces the throats and chests of many in the team. After a short while, they see in the distance a band of Arikara natives riding toward them on horses. The Arikara are a tribal community that has lived in these woods for generations. Then for a brief moment, silence falls and the Arikara disappear. Everyone realizes that a great danger is coming, and then from all sides, arrows rain down on them. In this sudden attack, some of the American hunters lose their lives. The remaining hunters somehow hide behind trees. As the Arikara draw near on horseback, some American hunters shoot and kill them. A fight breaks out face to face. Glass and Hawk, sensing the danger, return to camp. Glass shouts to everyone that they must get into that boat at any cost. After fighting the Arikara for a long time, many of their team are killed. The surviving hunters decide that they will do whatever it takes to climb into the boat on the river and flee. With great difficulty, Glass, Hawk, Fitzgerald, Captain Henry, Bridger, and a few other hunters manage to get into the boat. But others are killed while trying to escape or as they climb into the boat. Now I'll tell you why the Arikara suddenly attacked them. At that time, war was going on between the US government and the Arikara natives, and the Arikara ruled these Dakota forests, so they would attack any American hunters on sight. The Arikara warriors who carried out such attacks were called Ree. After coming a long way down the Missouri River in that boat, Glass tells everyone that if they remain on the river too long, the Ree could attack them at any time. Therefore, it would be wiser to leave the boat in the river and proceed on foot by the inner forest paths. Fitzgerald disliked Glass because, though Glass was white-skinned, he lived like the Pawnee and much about his past was unknown. People said that some years ago, Glass had mercilessly shot a foreign soldier. So trusting someone with no clear background and an unknown past while crossing this dangerous wilderness made Fitzgerald uneasy. But Captain Henry trusted Glass very much. Following Glass's advice, they leave the boat in the river, hide the game they had gathered under a stone in the woods, and begin walking to their fort. Their fort is not far. They have camped there. First, they will get out of this dangerous forest and reach the fort. From there, they will return with more men and weapons and take the hunted goods away. But Fitzgerald is deeply suspicious of Glass. He repeatedly thinks that because Glass belongs to a native community, perhaps Glass is misleading them and will lead them all into the hands of the Ree. It is the rainy season. In the dense forest amid heavy rain, the whole party moves forward under Glass's direction. While the others rest somewhere in the woods during the rain, Glass goes alone into different parts of the forest to see which path is safe to lead everyone. One day, when Glass is alone inside the forest, a large and violent wild bear suddenly attacks him and Glass's gun flies from his hand. The bear grabs Glass and savagely wounds him with its paws and teeth. Glass tries desperately to save himself, but he cannot stand up to the monstrous strength of the bear. Still, when the bear leaves to summon its companions after mauling Glass, Glass somehow drags his wounded body, picks up his gun, and aims at the bear. But instead of hitting its head, the shot strikes the shoulder. Enraged further, the bear springs on Glass and sinks its sharp claws into his throat, tearing flesh from his back and shoulders. Yet Glass does not give up. With great difficulty, he pulls a knife from his pocket and stabs at the bear's throat again and again until he wounds it so badly that the bear loses balance and falls down a slope with the nearly dead Glass. When the rest of Glass's party arrives, they find the dead bear beside Glass and blood pouring from the wounds on Glass's throat and back. Captain Henry had some knowledge of medicine, so they quickly stitch Glass's wounds to stop the bleeding. Groaning in pain, Glass faints at one point. But astonishingly, despite losing so much blood and having his body sewn up, he somehow survives. They spend the night there and resume walking the next morning. But because Glass cannot walk properly, he must be carried. The forest is full of Ree who could attack them at any moment. Also, after the rains, winter is approaching and snow begins to fall everywhere. However, Captain Henry is a sensible man. He knows that if Glass does not remain with them, they will never get out of this dangerous forest because Glass knows these woods so well. To encourage Glass, when the others rest, Glass's son Hawk comes to his father and says, "Papa, do you remember what Mother said when she was dying? If a tree's roots are very deep, no matter how strong a storm comes, it may look as if the tree will be uprooted. But in the end, no one can move it. Your breath is still going, and as long as you breathe, you are alive. Papa, you must live for me. I am with you in this fight." The film then flashes back. In the past, we see that English soldiers once attacked Glass's Pawnee tribe. Before Glass arrived, they shot his wife and burned all their homes. During that attack, Hawk's body was also slightly burned, and we see Glass trying to strengthen his son mentally. This scene was also shown at the beginning of the film. Glass has seen terrible times in life. Some things people know, and some only he knows. Anyway, the story returns to the present. They are shown carrying Glass's body, but now they must cross a high mountain and it is not possible to haul Glass up by pulling. Following Fitzgerald's suggestion at one point, Captain Henry almost decides to shoot Glass to put him out of his misery. But suddenly humanity awakens in him. He cannot kill the man who has helped them so much. He instructs his men that Glass will rest here until he naturally dies. 2 people from their side will stay behind to care for him and perform his last rites. Decide among yourselves who will stay. Whoever stays will receive a $1 reward. Hearing this, for the lure of money, Bridger and Fitzgerald agree to remain. Of course, Glass's son Hawk is there too. But one can never tell when a protector may become a predator. After everyone leaves, Fitzgerald begins to dig in a corner at the foot of that mountain. But why? Is he preparing to bury Glass alive while he is still breathing? A question arises, with so many people present. Why did Fitzgerald harbor so much anger against Glass? Why did he dislike him? The reason lies in an incident many years earlier. Once during a hunt, Fitzgerald had faced an Arikara attack. That time the Ree captured Fitzgerald and tortured him. The cruelty was so great that with a sharp knife they ripped the skin off one side of Fitzgerald's head. Fitzgerald somehow survived and returned, but the scar remains fresh on his head and mind, and since that event Fitzgerald developed a hatred for the natives. And because Glass belonged to a native community too, Fitzgerald could never tolerate him from the start. 42. So one day, when Bridger and Hawk go in search of drinking water and food, Fitzgerald coldly says to Glass, "Glass, why are you still breathing? I don't understand. By rights you should have died long ago, but you won't give in to death. Don't you see that as long as you live, we won't be able to move from here, and eventually the Ree will find and finish us. Since your life won't let go, why don't I take it? If you want that too, just blink once toward me." Because of the deep wound in his throat, which had cost him the ability to speak, Glass could only try to keep his eyes open for a long time. But how long can a human keep their eyes from blinking? Eventually, Glass must blink, and Fitzgerald immediately shoves cloth into his mouth to stop his breathing. At that moment, Hawk arrives and shouts at Fitzgerald, pulling him away from Glass. "What were you doing?" "I'll tell everyone. If the captain finds out, you'll be hanged." Fitzgerald first tells Hawk to be quiet, but Hawk does not stop. So Fitzgerald mercilessly stabs Hawk multiple times in the stomach right before Glass and kills young Hawk in front of his helpless father. Glass cannot shout. He only groans and writhes in pain. Fitzgerald drags Hawk's corpse and throws it away. At this point, Bridger returns. Fitzgerald tells him Hawk is late and hasn't returned. Bridger thinks Hawk may be stuck somewhere, or something has happened to him that prevented his return. He does not see Hawk's body lying a short distance away. That night, Fitzgerald wakes Bridger and says, "I saw some Ree coming this very dark night. We must leave quickly." Hearing this, Bridger panics and asks, "If we go, what will happen to Glass?" Fitzgerald then crudely throws the sick Glass onto the ground and drags him into the ditch he had dug. He covers Glass with some soil and says, "Those who won't die must be buried alive. If you want to save your life, come with me, otherwise you will die too. After all, humans are selfish. When their own life is at stake, they only think of themselves." Bridger makes no protest. Bridger and Fitzgerald bury Glass alive and flee. Howard Glass, who a short while before could barely move, now by sheer willpower and the thirst to live, struggles terribly to free his body from under the soil. As he lifts his head, a little distance away, he sees Hawk's dead body. Glass drags himself toward Hawk and tries to see if there is still life in his son. After all, it is a father's heart that wants to believe. Even if the mind knows otherwise, he goes there in hope of life. First his wife, then his son. With so much bodily pain and so much grief, Glass can no longer bear it. He rests his head on his dead son's chest and falls asleep. Glass runs his hand over Hawk's head and chest. His eyes seem to cry aloud, "Take one breath. Come back to me once. I won't let anything happen to you. I am your father." Glass's sorrow and pain instantly transform into the shape of vengeance. He decides that until he punishes his son's murderer with his own hands, he will not find peace. With that resolve in his body, Glass now begins to crawl forward on his chest. Meanwhile, after going a short distance, Bridger begins to suspect. Did Fitzgerald really see any Ree that night? When he asks Fitzgerald about it, "You lied to me and aren't taking him from here." Fitzgerald throws Bridger to the ground, levels a gun at him and says, "That day I lied because I could not risk my life for a half-dead man. I know I did not sin that day by lying. So if you want to live, you will go with me and never tell anyone." Forced, Bridger quietly continues along with him. Elsewhere, we see the Ree, who had taken everything from the Americans, sell those goods to French trappers in the forest. They bully them a bit, take 5 horses and a gun, and indeed, following the boat along the riverbank, the Ree reach the mountain near where Fitzgerald and the others are with Glass. In fact, the Arikara tribe's chief's daughter, named Powaka, had gone missing several days earlier. They did not know who had taken her or where she was, and they suspected that the American hunters who had come to hunt in the Dakota woods had perhaps kidnapped the chief's daughter. That was the reason the Ree had attacked Captain Henry's team. O2. So in the present, when the Ree arrive, they find nothing but Hawk's corpse. It is shown that as Glass crawls forward on his chest, his wounds begin bleeding again. The wound in his throat is so deep that blood comes out even when he drinks water. So Glass gathers some scattered leaves and grass in the forest, burns them, applies the small amount of gunpowder he has to his throat wound, and then uses the burning grass to cauterize the wound himself. He does this because he knows that if a part of the human body is burned, the bleeding from that place stops. If he does not do this, he will bleed to death. Also, in such severe cold, a burned wound heals faster. At one point, Glass almost died. Besides, the wound that had burned from the fire was healing faster in the freezing cold. Now, even though Glass could somehow stand a little, he still couldn't walk without support. On top of that, he had no food. Starving, he began to eat whatever he could find: grass, leaves, small birds, or even the rotten flesh of dead animals. One day, while Glass was resting by the riverside, some Arikara warriors arrived there. Fortunately, he saw them in time, and before they could attack, he jumped into the river. The strong current carried him far away from their reach. To save his life, Glass allowed the fast-flowing, icy river to take him miles away. After a long time in the freezing water, his entire body went numb, almost frozen. Somehow, he managed to light a small fire and warm himself. Because of hunger, he caught a fish from the river with his bare hands and ate it raw. While lying on the riverbank afterward, resting for a bit, he suddenly saw a fire burning in the distance. Crawling toward it, he discovered a man roasting meat, a wild ox he had hunted. When that man saw Glass, he came forward aggressively, ready to attack. But Glass folded his hands and pleaded for some food. The man threw a piece of meat toward him. That night, he allowed Glass to stay beside him. The next morning, when the man saw Glass's terrible wounds, he asked how he got into such a state. In a weak, broken voice, Glass explained everything. The man introduced himself. His name was Haikuk, a member of the Pawnee tribe. He told Glass that his family too had been killed by another Native American tribe. Seeing Glass's wounds, Haikuk said, "If these aren't treated, you won't live long. Your body will start rotting from infection." So instead of leaving him alone in the icy storm, Haikuk lifted Glass onto his horse and took him to another place. There he burned leaves and grass, made ashes and applied them to the wounds. Then he cut branches and built a small hut, covering it with warm materials to protect Glass from the cold. By this time, the pain had given Glass a high fever, and he fainted. When Glass woke up later, Haikuk was nowhere to be found. Searching around, he finally saw him hanging from a tree, murdered. Nearby, Glass heard people laughing. He immediately realized that it must have been a group of French trappers, the same hunters responsible for the earlier crimes. Glass swore vengeance once again. He still hadn't avenged his son's death, but now he vowed to avenge the man who had saved his life. When Glass reached the French camp, he overheard their leader boasting about what they had traded with the Arikara and how they would settle all scores. There, Glass also saw a native girl they had captured, and they began to assault her. Just then, Glass appeared from behind, pressed a gun to the French leader's head, and told the girl to pull out her knife. Glass freed a horse, shot one of the hunters, and signaled to the girl. She slashed the French leader's throat, and the rest of the hunters fled in panic. Meanwhile, following Glass's earlier route, Captain Henry, Fitzgerald, Bridger, and the remaining team reached their fort after several days. There, Fitzgerald lied to the captain, saying, "Glass is dead. We buried him properly. But Hawk went missing during the attack, and we haven't found him." The captain believed Fitzgerald's words. On the other side, Glass was resting near the French camp when suddenly an Arikara warrior attacked him. Glass escaped by jumping on a horse, but an arrow struck the horse, and both fell down a steep slope. To survive in the bone-freezing cold, Glass slid open the dead horse, removed its organs, and crawled inside its body to stay warm through the night. Fitzgerald realizes the truth back at the American fort. One of the surviving French trappers came seeking shelter. When asked what had happened, he said, "A man came and killed our leader. Our group scattered. Some froze to death. Wolves ate the rest." He showed them a canteen, the same one Bridger had left near Glass's grave. Seeing it, Fitzgerald immediately understood. The man they buried alive had somehow survived. Bridger, unaware that Fitzgerald had killed Hawk, assumed the canteen might belong to Hawk. He told the captain that maybe Hawk was alive and had taken it. Captain Henry, believing Bridger, set out with his team toward the Yellowstone River, the French hunters' camp, to search for Hawk. They never expected to find Glass alive. When they finally did, Captain Henry was stunned. He had been told Glass was dead and buried. Now he knew Fitzgerald had lied. They rescued Glass and brought him back to the fort. Captain Henry immediately ordered Fitzgerald's arrest, but Fitzgerald had already stolen company money and fled. Henry also wanted to arrest Bridger for lying, but Glass stopped him, saying, "Bridger isn't guilty. He was just following Fitzgerald's orders. He doesn't even know that Fitzgerald killed my son." Captain Henry and Glass set out to find Fitzgerald. They followed horse tracks in the snow until night fell. While resting by a fire, Henry asked, "People say you once killed a British soldier. Is that true?" "The British attacked our Pawnee village. After they killed my wife, one soldier reached for my son, so I shot him." The next morning, Henry and Glass split up to cover more ground. Soon after, Fitzgerald, who was hiding nearby, ambushed Henry, pointed a gun at him, and mocked, "Captain, out here in this freezing cold? Lost your way on the snowy mountains?" Then Fitzgerald shot Henry dead. He was so furious with him that he scalped his head, just as he had seen the natives do. Hearing the gunshot, Glass rushed toward the sound. But when he arrived, he saw Henry's dead body, head partly skinned, and realized what Fitzgerald had done. Glass placed Henry's body upright on his horse, tying a branch along its back to make it appear alive. He used it as a trap. When Fitzgerald saw the figure from afar, he fired at it. but when he approached to check, he discovered it was Henry's corpse, not Glass. At that moment, Glass appeared from behind and shot Fitzgerald in the shoulder. Fitzgerald ran, and Glass chased him. They fought savagely in the snow, stabbing, punching, slashing. Glass chopped off 2 of Fitzgerald's fingers with his axe. In the end, Glass turned Fitzgerald's own knife against him, stabbing him in the stomach. Even while dying, Fitzgerald gasped, "You went through all this pain to kill me. But what will you gain? You can't bring your son Hawk back." Just then, Glass saw the Arikara warriors approaching. Instead of killing Fitzgerald himself, he pushed him into the river, letting them take their revenge. The Arikara killed Fitzgerald, but spared Glass. Behind their leader, on a horse, Glass saw the same girl he had rescued, Powaka, the chief's daughter. She told them, "This man saved me," so the Arikara let him go. Fitzgerald's dead body floated away in the icy river. Wounded and exhausted, Glass collapsed in the snow. The icy wind howled as fresh snow began to fall. Sitting there in unbearable pain, he looked ahead, and in his vision, saw his wife smiling softly at him as if guiding him home. That's where the film ends. In truth, the Revenant means the one who returns from death. And Glass didn't return just once. He returned again and again, defying death every time. This was Leonardo DiCaprio's unforgettable journey in The Revenant, 2015, a story of revenge, survival, and the indestructible will to live. If you liked this story, don't forget to leave a comment and share it with friends. See you in the next video.